Imagine this. You are in a group chat. 15 people, maybe 20. The notifications will not stop. Someone just sent a meme. Someone else responded with crying laughing emojis. Your phone vibrates again, and again, and again. You scroll up. The conversation has nothing to do with you anymore. It stopped being relevant 3 days ago. So you do what feels natural. You leave. No explanation, no goodbye. Just gone. And immediately, you feel lighter. Free. Like you just uninstalled bloatware from your brain. This is called ghosting, but not the romantic kind. This is group chat ghosting, and if you have ever done this, you are not rude, you are not antisocial. You are actually exhibiting a completely predictable psychological response to digital overstimulation. Your brain is protecting itself from what researchers call social fatigue. And the people who do this the most, they are not the villains of the story. They are the ones who figured out the game before everyone else. Let me reveal what is actually happening here. When you leave a group chat without saying goodbye, you are engaging in something called boundary enforcement through silence. It sounds fancy. It just means you stopped participating in a social contract that was draining you. Because here is the thing. Group chats are not real communities. They are performance spaces. Every message you send is a microtransaction of attention. Every response you give is labor. And when you leave without warning, you are refusing to pay that cost anymore. You are walking off the stage. Now let us talk about the mechanism. Why does this feel so good? Your brain operates on something called cognitive load theory. Basically, your mind has a limited amount of processing power. Every notification, every unread message, every expectation to respond, it all takes up space. When you are in a group chat, your brain is constantly running background calculations. Should I respond to this? Will people think I am ignoring them? Do I need to acknowledge that joke? Am I being rude if I do not react? These are not conscious thoughts. They are happening in the background, like apps running on your phone, even when you are not using them. And just like those apps, they drain your battery. So when you leave the group chat, you are not just removing yourself from a conversation. You are shutting down an entire process. You are closing 15 tabs at once, and your brain immediately feels the relief. This is why people who leave group chats without saying goodbye often describe it as liberating. Because it is. You just reclaimed mental bandwidth. But here is where it gets interesting. The psychology of the people who do this is different from the people who stay. The ones who leave without explanation tend to have higher levels of what psychologists call internal locus of control. That means they believe they are in charge of their own experience. They do not wait for permission to exit. They do not need group consensus to make decisions about their own time. They see the group chat as optional, not obligatory. And that mindset, it is actually healthier than the alternative. Because the people who stay in group chats, they hate. They are operating from external locus of control. They believe their value is determined by how others perceive them. They are scared of being labeled as rude or antisocial, so they stay. They mute the chat, they ignore it, but they never leave, because leaving feels like a statement. And they are terrified of what that statement might say about them. So they suffer in silence, watching the notification count climb into the hundreds. Feeling guilty for not engaging, but too paralyzed to actually exit. This is the difference. The people who leave without saying goodbye have accepted a fundamental truth. No one actually cares. Not in the way you think they do. Sure, someone might notice you are gone. They might even mention it. But within 24 hours, the group chat will move on. Because group chats are not about individuals, they are about momentum. They are about keeping the conversation alive. You are just one voice in a chorus. And when one voice drops out, the song continues. Here is the evolutionary angle. Humans evolved in small tribes. Dunbar's number suggests we can only maintain about 150 stable social relationships. But group chats ignore this limit. You can be in 20 group chats with 300 people total. Your brain was not built for this. It was built for face-to-face interaction with people you actually know. People whose facial expressions you can read. People whose intentions you can verify. Group chats strip all of that away. They are socially ambiguous spaces. You cannot tell tone. You cannot read body language. Every message is open to interpretation. And your brain hates ambiguity. It costs too much energy to decode. So when you leave a group chat without saying goodbye, you are doing what your ancestors did when they left a gathering that no longer served them. You are walking away. No ceremony, no announcement, just movement. Because in tribal settings, you did not need to explain why you were leaving the fire. People understood. You were tired, you had other things to do. Your presence was appreciated, but not required. Group chats have forgotten this. They have turned every exit into a social event. And that is exhausting. Now, let us talk about the people who get mad when you leave. The ones who text you privately. The ones who ask why you left. The ones who try to guilt you back in. These people are operating from a scarcity mindset. They believe that your departure diminishes the group. They see it as rejection. But here is what they are really saying. They need your validation. They need to know that you still care. Because if you leave, it forces them to question why they are staying. And that question is uncomfortable. So they project. They make it about you. They say you are being weird or antisocial. But really, they are just mad that you reminded them they have a choice too. This is the takeaway. Leaving a group chat without saying goodbye is not rude. It is honest. It is you admitting that this space no longer serves you. And instead of performing a polite exit, which would require emotional labor you do not want to give, you just leave. You refuse to turn your boundary into a negotiation. And that makes people uncomfortable. Because most social interactions are built on the idea that we owe each other explanations, but you do not. Not really. You do not owe anyone access to your time or attention. And when you leave without saying goodbye, you are proving that you understand this. Here is another layer. The people who leave group chats without saying goodbye are often the same people who value deep connection over surface-level interaction. They would rather have 3 real conversations than 30 shallow ones. Group chats are inherently shallow. They are designed for quick hits of dopamine, not meaningful exchange. So when someone leaves, they are not rejecting the people, they are rejecting the format. They are saying, I would rather talk to you one-on-one than watch you perform for an audience. And this is where it gets meta. Group chats are not really about communication, they are about presence. They are about signaling that you are still part of the group, that you still care, that you are still paying attention. But presence without engagement is exhausting. It is like being at a party where you are not talking to anyone, but you cannot leave because people will think you are boring. So you just stand there, holding your drink, nodding along, waiting for an acceptable moment to exit. Group chats are the digital version of this. And leaving without saying goodbye is you deciding that you do not need an acceptable moment, you just need out. Now, let us address the guilt. Because if you have ever left a group chat without saying goodbye, you have probably felt it. That little voice that says, maybe I should have said something. Maybe I hurt someone. Maybe they think I do not care. This is called social guilt, and it is a devolutionary holdover from when being excluded from the group meant death. Your brain is wired to avoid social rejection, so when you do something that might be perceived as rejection, even if it is just leaving a group chat, your brain panics. It tells you that you made a mistake, that you need to fix it. But here is the truth. That guilt is not based on reality. It is based on an outdated survival mechanism. In the modern world, leaving a group chat does not put you in danger. It does not make you a bad person. It just means you have boundaries. And boundaries are healthy. They are necessary. They are how you protect your mental health in a world that demands constant availability. So if you feel guilty for leaving a group chat without saying goodbye, recognize that guilt for what it is. It is your brain trying to protect you from a threat that does not exist. And then let it go. Because the people in that group chat, they are fine. They moved on, and you should too. Here is the final mechanism. The act of leaving without explanation is a form of self-advocacy. It is you prioritizing your needs over social expectations. And in a world that constantly tells you to put others first, that is radical. It is you saying, my time matters, my energy matters, my mental health matters. And I am not going to sacrifice any of those things to make other people comfortable. This is why the people who leave group chats without saying goodbye are often the same people who have strong boundaries in other areas of their life. They say no without over-explaining. They cancel plans when they need to rest. They do not apologize for taking care of themselves, because they understand that self-care is not selfish, it is survival. And here is the cynical truth. Most people do not actually want you in the group chat. They just want the number to stay high. They want the appearance of community. But if you disappeared tomorrow, the chat would continue. The memes would still get sent. The inside jokes would still get made. Because group chats are not about individuals. They are about collective energy. And your presence, while appreciated, is not required. So when you leave without saying goodbye, you are not doing anything wrong. You are just being honest about what you were never really a part of to begin with. You are acknowledging that this space was not built for deep connection. It was built for noise. And you do not need more noise in your life. Here is the takeaway. The psychology of people who leave group chats without saying goodbye is not complicated. They are people who understand their limits. They are people who refuse to perform for an audience that is not really watching. They are people who value their mental bandwidth more than social approval. And in a world that constantly demands more from you, that is not rude, that is self-preservation. So the next time you leave a group chat without saying goodbye, do not feel guilty. Do not apologize, do not explain. Just leave, because you do not owe anyone an exit strategy. You just owe yourself peace. And if that makes people uncomfortable, that is their problem, not yours. You are not an NPC in someone else's game. You are the main character in your own life. And main characters do not ask permission to leave spaces that drain them. They just go.